and see if he can explain my doses. Doses to the world. What's my doses? By the time I was 14, 15, I was 275. So I was heavier than I am now. And so if I can get my son to be better than that, how can you right now talk to these kids and say, hey, don't go to that level, but also don't go to this level? How do you stay in the middle? What is his real name?
Gilbert Gilbert.
Gilbert Gilbert. He's a YouTube guy. I don't know really much about him. I don't know much about him. I don't know if he works out or not or anything like that, but I know he does a lot of videos of people that are known, and that's how he makes his living and stuff like that. And so the one thing I wanted to say is that we're going to get him on a podcast, a Zoom.
Yeah, it could be fun.
And see if he can explain my doses. Doses to the world. What's my doses? And so we'll get that going. He's working with a youngster also, where the father is in a position to study, and they got water buffalo milk is what they're doing. They're doing 36 eggs a day, because they're saying that 36 eggs a day will cause you to it is a incredible hormone boost. But they're doing a lot of discovery on nutrition and everything like that. And so I am staying close in touch with them on the studies as well, because of, obviously, I am curious, extremely curious about size for the youngsters. I did really, really well. By the time I was 14, 15, I was 275. So I was heavier than I am now. And the strongest kid in Washington State. So I wasn't, you know how people go, hey, I was 270 in high school, but they were a fat pig? I wasn't. I also won the Teenage Washington that same year. So it wasn't that I was a fat kid. I was a monstrous kid. And I was a kid that was the size that I am now. And so if I can get my son to be better than that, if I can, because listen, I don't care who you are or what you believe, you can't coach size. You can't. You can't coach size. You can coach his talents and whatever he's good at, but the size is something that is genetically gifted, and also nutrition plays a huge role in it. Just because you're prone to be 6 foot with your family, trust me, if you don't eat healthy or well, you won't even reach 6 foot. Okay? So Heath Evans. With that being said, I'm keeping close touch on that. That way I can help you parents with your kids, because I see all these TV shows now, and it's frustrating to watch these cooking shows, which I freaking love. Freaking love these cooking shows, especially when I'm dieting, because I just look at everything and I said I'm going to eat it all. But I see these parents on the TV shows, and they're feeding these kids, and they're feeding these kids fatty food, and the kids are 12, 13, 14-year-olds and obese already. Now, that's interesting to me because that's on TV, and so they're promoting the mother who's overweight to feed these foods to the kid that's overweight. And so I just kind of want to try to teach to parents, it is the ages that they're under the house, the young ages, that is when you have a chance to get them set up on a good protocol and how to eat correctly. And don't fall into this whole thing like, my kid eats twice a day. It's that stuff. It's like, that's just the worst thing in the world. Your kids are monsters in the sense of metabolism and growth. Feed them, and they should be eaten differently than you, and they shouldn't be eaten like a bodybuilder at that young age, and they shouldn't be wrestling and trying to make weight and cutting weight at that age as well. So I will go into all that kind of stuff as we do this. Did that go? Mm-hmm. Did you cover it? Cover page? Yeah. Hey, I just was watching some of my deadlifts. Ironically, I was just watching it, and I was watching the form I was doing. I was trying to teach a different form, and so me and Mark Bell got together, and we did a seminar on deadlifts and different forms. I changed up my form probably 20 years ago because I was realizing that my focus was the same as everybody else. Go in the gym and deadlift to get the most weight possible. But it wasn't translating to development of the back. it wasn't translating to athletic ability or anything there. It was just a small, short range of motion movement. And so I started changing the form where it's more isolation to the back. So go over and watch the YouTube on deadlifts. I think you guys are going to love that. Also, it is one of those exercises that is going to end your career. Yeah, I said it. End your career or help your career get better, and keep you in the game longevity. This is something, first of all, that everybody needs to hear. And I think that especially now with the amount of snowflakes that keep piling up and the aspect, because this morning I put up a post and then somebody came in, and this is very mild, and you know me, this is very mild. He said, well, didn't you already do the dry out? And I said, I'm lost. What, I can't do it again? It's like, so, but not, I'm lost, I can't do it again? I don't know how that's aggressive. I don't know how that's a slap. And everybody came at me going, oh, you're so mean. They're so good. And I'm like, okay, Jeffrey, go block these 30 people. Because it was such a snowflake mentality. And I also didn't want the guy to lead people to astray. You do the tryouts before photo shoots. You do the tryout before stage. And you know me, and the world knows me. The majority does, that I'm doing a shoot every week, or I got to be on stage, and so I do a lot of tryouts, and they're tough. Now, with that being said, my response to him was, I don't know, hate speech. I don't know what it's called, but it was so.
No, we get our feelings ruffled so easily. We all do, and we all have these sensitive moments. But people ultimately don't like truth. You are a verifiable source of truth in the bodybuilding world, and let's be honest. There's very few of them that have the decades-long pedigree to speak as a verifiable truth. This works, this doesn't. Why are you a verifiable source? Because you've done it, you've mastered it, you've lived it. All right? Now, the truth is, people don't want to pay the price you've paid. And you've paid a very high price, haven't you?
Yeah.
We know it.
I give up my life to do what I do.
Right. And so the truth offends people because people want to point it at A, B, C, or D. Oh, your genetics. Oh, you're not natty. Oh, this. Oh, well, you get to work out 24/7 because this is your. Well, how did it become your job? Because you earned it at 16, 17, 18, 20, 27, 32, 30. Well, we go on and on and on. People don't like truth. And so when we go back to the self-help trillion-dollar industry that we look to for answers to appease our soul and to be peaceful and happy, the reason it never satisfies is because they're not giving people the truth. And so here's what I know. God made us. God's the only one that can satisfy us. We look to all these things. I've been at the elite level of my career. You've been at the elite level of your career. And these things just don't satisfy. Titan is the most amazing little boy. You know, I would give my life for that boy. I know you'd give your life for that boy. But like great kids, I've got two daughters. Like they don't satisfy us. They don't give us meaning and purpose of life. And so, where people hate truth is that we all have this God-sized hole in our hearts. But what God demands is every single one of us. I know you are at most happy when you're providing and loving on me, when you're serving me and when you're pushing me. Well, why? God built us to give to people. God built us to serve
that's
people.
so interesting, because it's so, the best part of the workouts or the best part of the friendship or life is when I do the charity for the hospitals, or when I push you in a workout and see you go to a level and get you to achieve something.
Striker to St. Jude and all. Yep.
That stuff really does, and I know this is tough for people to understand and I was so, I mean, I was selfish, and I'm selfish through my whole life. But as soon as I started doing charity work and you started giving, and I know people are going to go, no, you're just saying that. And I go, trust me, go do charity work one time and tell me how you feel at the end of the day when you're tired and beat down, but you just did something for others in a sense. It's an amazing thing. So,
and that's where I believe every human was built first to submit to authority and then serve people. And so you know in my stories every day, I put, choose today who you're going to serve. Because I can either serve me, my wants, my needs, my desires, or I can choose God. And when I serve God, what does he demand? He demands that I love him and you and Chrissy and Mona and Titan and literally everyone else before I love myself. Now the world teaches us, Heath, love yourself. You got to love yourself to love other people. It's just not true. Like the more I try to love myself, the more I find shallowness and emptiness and find everything incomplete.
All right, so let's do this.
Resources.
Let's do this. Let's try to, because I'm going to have a lot of people that are religious and not religious on here, but I'd like to talk to the kids that were like us, that were 18, 19, you're getting ready for pro football. I'm meeting Joe Weider. He says, I'm going to fly you around the world and put you on covers. I'm like, I'm golden. I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. Nobody can touch me. How do you get them off, instead of the crash that happens to us all? And what I mean by the crash is the downside. After you peak, in a sense, you do something that just destroys your kind of life, in a sense. How can you right now talk to these kids and say, hey, don't go to that level, but also don't go to this level? How do you stay in the middle? How would you, and this is tough because we're talking to kids that don't have life experience, that don't understand that think right now it's about the money, it's about the tail, it's about traveling and being famous, when all that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I tell people a lot, it's so much better to listen and learn than to live and learn. Most of us have lived and learned, and then you and I have talked about consequences that we've suffered by our own choices and decisions in the past. And so if we're talking to young kids, we beg you, listen to voices of authority into the area of life that you want to master. But just know this, I was here in Nashville a year ago. I sat in a building or a stage of 114 of the most powerful real estate people in the world. I asked them, I walked them through what happiness and contentment is. And then I asked these people, all millions and millions and millions of dollars on the bank, top of their game, real estate players from all over the world, are you happy? I think I had about 16 or 17 of 114 people that could raise their hand. And so every single one of these people had achieved success, or they had given portions of their life to get to what they thought was going to make them satisfied, and they weren't. And so if people aren't willing to listen, just like the majority of people aren't willing to listen to you, hey, what built that outside suite on that quad of yours that everybody wants? Well, here's what we did, and it was really freaking painful. So people don't want that truth. Hey, Momo. But it's
Look at him, the smart mouth going away. Blah, 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 blah.
Happy. Florida, be quiet. Most happy when I prioritize Chrissy over me. Why? I didn't come up with that on my own. God said I'm supposed to lay down my life for my wife. And when I do it, then guess what? It makes her want to lay down her life for me. And so it's two people trying to outgive each other instead of two people trying to outtake from each other.
See,
relationships are like two ticks and no dog.
That's interesting because it takes you to a whole different level when the team is fighting for a goal. And that's what it is. It's you and her, and it's a team, and you got the kids and everything, and it's a team around you. And I can also agree with something else you said. And for you people watching this, all you Titans and Boat Ready crew around the world, our friends, our close friends, are all wealthy beyond, wealthy enough to where their kids and their kids and their kids don't need to work. And that doesn't make them extremely happy, but it's the continuous goals. It's the continuous passion inside of you to be better and to be a better person. And I don't think Heath or I right now can tell you guys how not to believe the hype when people start building you up. It's got to stay within you that you are humble enough to go, I want more. Like Brady said, what's the next? What is the goal he wants? The next Super Bowl. And for me, it is. I still want to be now understanding on this side of the fence what it's like to be a father. No clue before. have a kid. Dude, I got a dog. Relax. I don't need a kid. I don't need a wife. I don't need a kid. I'm good. I don't need any of that. Now that I'm on this side of the fence, wow. Holy shnikes. It's a different world, and you can't see the process when you're going through it. It's when you come out the other side that you get to understand it. And I think right now you and I understand a whole bunch of stuff that's beautiful, painful, but beautiful. And so I love you, kid.
I love you, brother. I miss you. I'm gonna try to come home soon.
Well, we're going to probably get out there before that. But thanks for talking tonight. You know that I'm not one of those that likes to talk about that kind of stuff. But I think...
Well, we all need it.
Yeah, I know.
We all need it. I love you, dude.
I love you, kiddo.
Tight 4, beat it.
All right, buddy. Bye, buddy.